almost a year that I read aloud The Only Planet of Choice. I read it in English and in German, and I uploaded it on my YouTube. And so I finished it before the year 2020 was over. But this morning I was reminded of the chapter entitled The New Millenium. It's chapter 21, and it's actually is an addition to the book which was originally published, I believe. And I just looked at it again and I just thought, maybe I'll just read it again. Even though I've uploaded it, we're a year on and we're in the midst of it all now. And I thought it might be good information, even if you don't want to listen to the whole book or read it. The title is The Only Planet of Choice. It was published in the early 90s. The transceiver is Phyllis Wieslener, and it was edited by Mary Bennett. And this is the accumulation of 18 years of questions and answers by the Council, a Council of 9. And this is the last pages, and I decided to read this chapter 21, which is entitled The Next Millennium. In May 1994, whilst at a meeting with our publisher, Alec Bartholomew of Gateway Books, he suggested that this revised edition would provide an opportunity to update The Only Planet of Choice with information for the next millennium. Gateway had received many requests asking for more information. It appears that many mediums, channels and psychics have been giving conflicting prophecies and predictions about the changes that are going to take place in the coming century. Needless to say, Alec's suggestion was valid and timely. Among other subjects, this chapter sets out a transformational arena that now seems to be the focus of the Council of Nine's attention, and it concerns the relationship between the Celtic nation and the English. While parts of this chapter may be uncomfortable reading for some of us who live in the British Isles, we should be courageous and realize that the time to start on these transformational processes is already here. We cannot wait until the year 2000. We are on the threshold of the next century. We are on the threshold of the next century. Hopefully, what Tom and the Council of 9 have to say will provide us with some insights and guidelines for a new way of life. I had the privilege of sitting with Tom for those communications, and consequently, I have been able to emphasize certain words and indicate the pauses, because I was there. No amount of writing, however, could adequately convey the very special energy that was present, or the multi-level communication that went on. I do not know if this is the usual experience, but while Tom was talking, ideas and complementary words and images were being given to me telepathically, which has led yet to another different style of writing than the preceding communications, at which I was not present. The thing in a circle. Irene. Greetings, Tom, and to the Council of 9. While we would like to ask you some questions concerning the next millennium, do you have anything that you would like to say to us first? Tom. The Council has asked that I convey to you that we understand the difficulty of removing self from self in your world of density and of propensity for self. For the past 3 decades there has been interest in self for self and interest in decadence. It is time now to let go of the past 3 decades of decadence before moving out into a new transformational arena. And as you know, any time that there is forward movement, the old entraps and strangles, like that of the octopi. They occupy you, is that right? Irene, yes, we understand what you mean. Tom. And they also attempt to hold tightly to systems of belief, and the necessity for change is then covered in darkness. We would wish you to understand this. In the past we had explained the importance of the nation of Israel as a microcosm of the macrocosm. Now, in the nation of England, that is considered as the most civilized of all nations, what is of the greatest importance is the settlement of that is that settlement that is the Celts with that of the Anglo. For only in the settlement of that difficulty can we move forward in correctness. Consider this nation of England, in its considerable acceptance of its civility, also creates the most barbaric weaponry because of the repression of who it is. Therefore it is important to include the English in your meditations, for until this problem is resolved, it is very difficult for the rest of the world to move forward, for they look to this of the civility, not servility, with a C, not an ocean, you understand? Yes. Tom. Yes. Then there is great opening, for we may bring the brothers of Abraham together. Irene. Yes. Tom. There is no growth without struggle, is there? Mary. No, there's not. Tom. There is no strength without struggle on your world, is there? If you would lie upon your bed and not move, there would be weakness, is that true? Irene. Yes. Tom. If you lifted weighted things, there would be strength, is that true? Irene. Yes. Therefore, you are in strugglement. Irene. Yes, thank you for that. We really appreciate it. Tom. In the nation of England, the civility stops the truthfulness. What is needed is a courageous breaking through, that breakdown in correctness. For do not those of the nation of England tend to put everything under the carpet? Mary. Yes. Tom. We are sorry, Mary, for it is your nation too. Mary. I accept what you say, I understand it. I think that it is so, and I am sorry that it is so. Tom. It is simply because the male energy has ruled for dominant times, and it is feeling threatened now, for it knows that it must have equality with the female or it cannot survive. All the source of power comes from the female. By controlling the male, by controlling the female, keeping her in bondage and in servitude, he can then own that power. Do you know that? Irene. Yes. It is no different from that what the Chinese have always attempted to do with the Tibetans. Tom. Exactly. Now that the time has come for equality, those of the male genitalness are frantically trying to rearrange their molecules in all of their energy fields and wanting to maintain in their relationships that it is the God. Think about this. Of all the nations upon your planet, the nation of England has what you call significant corruptions of sexuality within its government, does it not? Mary. Yes, it does. Tom. The male power knows that it only maintains its power by taking the energy power of the female. It believes that instead of it being partners, it is total control, and from another viewpoint, it knows innately that in the act of copulation it is returned to the source. Yes? Irene and Mary. Yes. Tom. Very complexional those of the nation of England in their shattered minds. Mary. This recalls a conversation which was held previously, Chapter 10, concerning the preparation of this planet for humankind. You had said that the others, the opposition, were trying to cut the ley lines when they were being prepared, and that they had succeeded with the serpent. I feel that it is a dual reply, for in cutting the serpent, also known as the Michael and Mary line in England, they then managed to create the imbalance of power in this country, and this affects the entire planet. This energy is now being brought back into balance. So the serpent not only refers to the ley line, but also to the male-female relationship as depicted in the word book, the Bible. Tom. That is correct and of importance. Mary. So if the nation of England manages to correct this male-female balance, then the energy of this country, the way it spreads out through the planet, via the serpent that goes across England and all around the globe, but only around the northern latitudes, which was the area of the original seedings of humankind. It is this how the energy balances that male-female power throughout the planet? Tom. Yes, for it sits at the top, does it not? Mary. Yes. Tom. It balances it in the civilized world, for in the societies that they would consider as primitive, in spite of appearances, this connection is understood. We pray that all extremities be brought into balance, it be brought to consider what it has brought forth. If you understand the singular importance of this time, there is one movement forward and another that is trapped, so that the forward movement is blocked. It is as if there is this division between that is and that which is not to be. There is a churning in the oceans of your life on planet Earth that the octopi wishes to occupy. Do you understand? Mary and Irene, yes. Tom. Council has said I must stop asking if you understand, for you are not children. Is that not so? We laugh. Now, I must, yes. Therefore, the octopi attempts to occupy by strangulation of thinking in clarity. The way forward is across the threshold, and in that threshold is the occupier of your planet at this time. What does one now do to disentangle on your planet Earth? You could gently remove the entanglements, but if they are strong and fierce, they will only hold stronger, will they not? Irene, yes, they will. Tom, if you would wish to axe them off, you might axe off yourself also. Is that not so? Irene, yes, it is. Tom, you are in a quandary. Irene, yes, thank you very much. Tom, you must be flexible in time. Do you understand? Mary, yes, because if we become rigid in our beingness, then it is back to the same problem and we break. Flexibility of crystal understanding. Tom, yes. Irene, is this a new bottleneck of the souls? Tom, it is more than that. It is a strangulation, and in the strangulation there is no releasement. Mary, so relating this to the preceding conversation, that means that as the English don't express themselves fully, and this nation represents this particular aspect of strangulation on our planet, if we keep expressing ourselves in truth and integrity, that this will also help to eliminate the strangulation. Tom, it is vital, you're correct, yes. It is advisable to keep bringing forth gently to the males of this nation of England the importance of releasing the suppressed, repressed, and that they will find within themselves the courage to bring it out, to view it properly. When it is repressed, then it manifests in your male-female inversions. Mary, I was going to ask you if the situation in Israel now, this is May 1994, and also the recent election in South Africa, was a reflection of some resolution in that previous aspect of bottlenecking referred to in earlier years? Tom, in the beginning, however, that does not mean that there will not be an attempt at strangulation. You see, when it is verbalized, when it is written, then the crystallization begins to become fluid. That is of great importance. What must be recognized by the nation of England is that rigidity. We speak now to those that your society would call the ordinary people. They must begin to understand and change their ability to think for themselves and not permit the government and municipalities to control them in their thinking concerning these two nations of Celt and Anglo. It is of vital importance they understand that they have created a bigger tragedy in the name of the Creator. For the English identify themselves as civilized. What they do not understand is that they identify all others as non-civilized. Therefore, they do not give the opportunity for growth to the Celts or to any other. Think upon this. What is this Anglo nation? It has a triangle of Celts, does it not? Both, yes. Mary, symbolically the Celtic lands are to the left side and the Anglos live to the right side of our island, which reflects the intuitive processes as against the rigid intellectual processes, and the melding of these two aspects would create a balance throughout the planet, as we said before. So, is that why the crop glyphs are mostly in a triangular area in the center of this particular nation? Has it been to start this process? Tom, it is a movement and an awakening of asking, why? Why in this nation of England is there this stuckness, saying, that's the way we've always done it? We ask, how many years does it take before being able to say, why is there now something new? Mary, there are groups of people who walk the country's ley lines and try to get these energies balanced. Many are very linked to the Arthurian legends, and it occurred to me after our conversations that the symbolism of the sword Excalibur is that of balance, ex-calibre. Tom, that is a form of correctness. It is calibration. Mary, thinking further of this nation's landmarks, can you tell us anything about Stonehenge that we don't have in the traditional guidebooks? Tom, what do you have in the traditional guidebooks about pyramids? Also, all of animal pictorials were a point of reference for those of the sons of God. You understand? We then went on to ask Tom if he had any special message for the USA. Tom, what is important in that vast arena of the nation of the United States is to bring forth the awareness to the use of the power of their thinking, and the determination to remove from their nation this violence, corruption and destruction of the planet of beauty, the paradise of earth. It is important for the youth to insist upon their elders that they will not permit the destruction. It is important for the youth also to understand that being bombarded by violence through the mass media implants a violence that is then out of their control. It is important for the youth to join together with their elders in going forward in meditation, in love and joy. It is important for the youth to understand that it is joyful to be joyful and not at the cost of another. Also, in that vast continent, if they might set up 3 meditators so that there be 4 corners, creating 12 people meditating, perhaps they can start, how do you say, as pen pals. The following day we continued with our questions. Irene, I would like to ask the Council and yourself to clarify what is going to happen as we move into the next millennium. As you know, there have been endless questions as to how the changes are going to take place for humankind. Is it going to be internal, psychological, spiritual, geophysical? What are the changes that we can look forward to as we get closer to the changing of the millennium? The second part of that question is, how best can humankind prepare themselves? Tom, it is in this manner. Humankind holds within itself the means of forwardness, and it also holds within itself the direction. Listen in carefulness, with openness and understanding. The next 1,000 years are those of the years of the mind. Energies of the mind which will be brought to understanding of the true power of what is created by a thought form, a visualization, or a strong desire formed of it. It is in this manner there has been many predictions which bring a predictilation. Is that correctness? Irene, no, but it is a new word. Tom, yes? What I meant to say was, it is in this method, in the past, many upon your planet have made predictional, which have created a prediclectional. Irene, yes, very good. Tom, and what they have done by programming humankind, in truth, they have actually created that event. Irene, yes. Tom, now, there are several areas that those who create these events need to observe and look upon within themselves, those who still exist, for thou knowest, some of those have now transitioned. It is like this. They have either been predicting from sources surrounding planet Earth or sources of civilization that do not have all knowledge, nor a doorway to all knowledge, or even that of a window. What they are seeing is like looking upon Earth and seeing the different paths and routes that humankind may take at any given time in the historical aspect of humankind. What they are also seeing is at times if humankind is moving in a direction that appears to be confrontational. They then believe that it is a given, ordained, when that is not true, for humankind has within it the ability to bring all changes within its own parameters and to bring all peace within. Also, there are those of the others that have in a form corrupted information in order to create diversion and anxiety in making situations of chaoticness. Now again we say this, There are those upon your planet Earth who did not believe that in their time of existence upon Earth there was the possibility of East and West in communion. Is that not so? Yes. That did not happen by chance, for many, with their visualizations, their prayers and their actions, brought that into being, for it also takes action, you understand? Irene, yes. Most humankind would believe that the barrier, the wall, came down suddenly in Berlin in one day. It took much time to bring it to that, in the same manner as the changing of the situation in South Africa. It took much effort by many quiet workers, and also, as you see, what has happened with the nations of Israel and Ishmael. There are those workers who are attempting to disrupt and to bring them down. Therefore it is held within the faculties of humankind to bring themselves what it is that they wish. Humankind does not want to hear this, for it is more dramatic for them to feel that it is out of their control and that all will happen, that everything is predestined. Then there are those who believe that the planet must be purified and cleansed of the humankind, who are not worthy of it in their opinion. This then creates another energy of negativity, and those who have the audacity to believe that their predictions are correct and rightful have created a great difficulty, not only for themselves, but for Earth. They have given their power to another energy, you understand? Irene, yes. Mary, there are a growing number of people around the world that are interested in the ascension philosophy. Can you tell me where that information comes from, and then whether there is any truth in that concept that a few chosen ones will help the planet in its evolution or coming back into balance after what they term chaos? Tom, we will explain to you again about those civilizations that do not have full information and then attempt to create an elitism amongst those of humankind in order to give them the feeling of specialness and uniqueness. In that way they keep them blind to other realities. At times, or in some instances, some of those sub-civilizations believe that they have the truth. It is not complete, and they do not understand that when they speak of ascension, it refers to the energy fields, creating the means for planet Earth to be a light space vehicle in an upward movement. It does not mean that humankind will ascend, nor does a portion of them will ascend. It is also of importance to understand that the fear of destruction keeps the planet and humankind in bondage and serves no useful purpose. It only creates a lack of balance for the planet and imbalance and depression in mankind. We speak to all of humankind who live in this concept of destruction when we say that you hold within you today, totally and completely, the ability to stop the devastation, the destruction of your planet Earth. If you are someone who wishes to be right at all times and in your error of thinking believe that your planet will be destroyed, then you take the responsibility of creating the destruction. And if we were in your place, we would be in great caution, for you do not know what you bring upon yourself. Mary, thank you. So just to clarify a little, these sub-civilizations are not the others then? Are they just a bit confused? Is that correct? Tom, and sitting on the fence, some of them. Do you understand what that means? Mary, yes, thank you very much. That is most helpful. Tom, therefore we say, take hold of your own life, your own planet. Take time for reflection, take time for prayer, take time for action. Each be responsible in a small way, and your planet will come to its peace. And as you would feel that it has turned into chaoticness, it can also turn into joyfulness. And it is a natural situation at times for there to be small eruptions and conflict. For there are evolved souls and those that are new souls without understanding totality. But that does not mean your planet is heading for total destruction. There is in your world a belief that there is 1,000-year reign. Is there not so? Irene, yes, the Bible, Revelation chapter 20, verse 4 to 7. Tom, it is up to you, and in you are the conditions when that goes into effect. It is meant for your next 1,000 years, and there will not be a sudden, but a gradual change with acceleration, for humankind must now take a stand for living upon planet Earth. You hold this planet completely and totally. If you wish to give your powers to those who would destroy it, remember that you destroy yourself. Also remember this, is it not true? There is no death. So there are some who say, it does not matter for there is no death. But it does matter, for if you cut off a life, before it was meant to. If you cut off your own life by that which is not correct, by incorrect thinking, action or otherwise, then your choice and that of others has not been fulfilled, and there is a payment that you will extract from yourself, and you might not like what is due. It is not better to fulfill what you have chosen for this planet. Earth is it not better to fulfill what you have chosen for this planet? Earth can be in greatness, for each humankind is a potentialness of greatness. Do not be afraid or of responsibility, for it will bring to you great self-respect and great joy. Do not permit others to own your soul. Move forward, and we are with you. Did we answer your question? Is there any clarification? Irene, one question that I have concerns this whole notion of technological evolution in computers. We are talking about the next age of humankind being the age of the mind. How will that interact with what's happening now, with our society becoming so completely computer-orientated? Are there things that one needs to be aware of? Tom, what is important to understand is this. Remember, we have said that your Earth is the planet of the physical and the spiritual. Humankind has also been burdened with laborious means of working, and that has held some in bondage. Is that not so? Irene, yes. So in the millennium of the mind, the balance would be a millennium of technology. Is that not correct? Therefore, it is not that a gratefulness? For then, humankind has freedom to fulfill its promise to itself. Irene, so the millennium of technology frees us from the laborious work of the past. However, it also frees us in terms of our pursuit of the spiritual. Tom, that is correct. Irene, and that's the thing we mustn't forget as we become obsessed with our newfound toys. Tom, that is absolute. Do not get out of bounds. As that of the mind begins to understand its power, eventually that of the technology will be merged. But you will not lose sight of the spiritual aspect and the balance. It will be organic. Otherwise, a correction will set in again. I hope you enjoy this lovely Friday. I have enjoyed reading this again. There's more. I might read a bit more. Enjoy the weekend.